Hello there, you, and welcome to a deranged army of KHORNE that's about to descend upon an Imperial Guard position here. Now, they've been absolutely driven mad by the bloodlust and have abandoned all sense of logic and reason here, and are continuing a all-out assault against the Death Corps of Kriege, backed up by a couple of Terminators, as well as the Soul Drinkers over here. And the forces of KHORNE are going to try to make their way across this river here, regardless of the strategic blunder that it might cost them. And look at this, it is a gigantic force, to be honest, that is about to descend upon the poor beleaguered Imperial Guard here. The Chaos are going to try and forge their way across the river, which is slowly draining out the sea. The poor old Imperial Guard here have yet to realize that the Chaos have actually blown out the dam, so all of the water that is currently in this river is draining out, so slowly but surely. And you can see here the forces of Chaos now are easily able to start traversing across this ravine here. We have got bloodletters on the front line being met by our shovel gods here, the kriegers themselves, marauders as well as furies making their way to that front line. But look at the amount of firepower that is coming out of the Imperial Guard lines here. Artillery shells are going off. We've got bolter rounds flying across the field here, and the river is slowly starting to turn a little bit of a different colour here. I mean, that's definitely tainted somewhat by the presence of Chaos, but the water is slowly receding, as we can see over here. And the forces of Chaos are going to try and make their way down the ravine. Oh my god, look at it already. It is completely covered in the bodies here of the Chaos who are trying to traverse this really difficult terrain, to be quite honest. But we have got bloodletters on the front line. The Kriegsmen here trying to form a defensive line. Shovels at the ready. But the bloodletters are trying to break on through here. The forces of Chaos appear to be concentrating their forces, trying to break through at this point of the line, at least at this side of the field here. You can see that all the water has completely drained from our ravine now. And the bodies are really going to start to pile up. In fact, I don't think there's any water left in here now. It just seems to be the goo of the Chaos army. More and more units are going to be pushing across there. Look at this. They're trying to find these little gaps now as this water drains out. And as well as this, as the bodies slowly start to build up here, it's going to make it easier and easier for Chaos to get through. It really does look like they're trying to push this area in particular quite hard at this flank. Let's go back down the line here, because the water is still coming out. You can see the Kriegers are trying to make a push forward. This is actually kind of brave. Might be a bit dangerous for them to try this. After all, they are taking on the forces of KHORNE here, who are literally in a river of blood. That's kind of insane. And it's all flowing down, strengthening them as it flows down, and they try to make their way through it. But look, they're also building up these little corpse bodies as well. These little bridges here that are helping traverse the terrain just that little bit nicer. Oh, look at this though, as all the water is flooding out now. The forces of Chaos here seizing an opportunity to open up a new flank. Renegade gunners come rushing in. Meanwhile, the rest of the Kriegers are trying to form a semblance of a defensive line here. It is under heavy assault. This part of it seems relatively under control at the moment. The overlapping fields of fire here from the Kriegers keeping the Chaos at bay. But then demons are getting ever closer here. And now with this new flank opening up, we can see a bunch of Death Corps here having to go down and try to defend this. This is going to really widen the gap here. And this is quite an exposed flank. The Imperials are going to have to be really careful about this. Let's go further up the line, because it looks like little by little here, the Chaos are forging a path forward, finding little chinks in the armor here and little parts of the Krieg here that they can actually get across. It does look like the Kriegers are coming out with a counter-charge, trying to push back the demons here. Oh, good luck to them. It's an absolutely brutal massacre on our front line here. The blood is surely flowing here. And I mean, meanwhile, the Terminators holding back, waiting for that last thing. They'll only commit to the fight here, truly, if they are needed. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to waste your Terminators against the hordes of Chaos, not when you've got a bunch of Imperial Guardsmen ready and waiting to take up the mantle of defense there. It's only if things get dire that we do need the Terminators here. But that bolter fire, look at that, it's just absolutely streaking right across the front lines of the Chaos here. Again though, look, it's creating more pathways with which the Chaos can start to advance. This is where things are getting deadly now. The ravine might be caked in bodies, but it's as the bodies start to build up here that we really have to worry about the Imperial defenders. It looks like more and more fronts are opening up. This one in particular is looking pretty nasty. A lot of bodies are building up here. The Imperials are going to have to be careful. I mean, I don't know how they're going to be careful because they've just got to keep killing them and hope for the best. Oh, look at them all just absolutely flooding this location. Driven mad by the bloodlust. Like I said, just completely forgetting about any semblance of logic here. As you can see, Terminator now making his way to the front line. Fed up of waiting up for the combat to come to him. He's taking it to the enemy here, taking on the Chaos Demons. And it does look like this flank is turning absolutely deadly now. The Imperials really struggling to actually hold on to this. Despite this, like I said, we have got overlapping fields of fire. We could do with some of them Terminators maybe coming down this side of the field and helping out the defenders. Oh, look, we have got one. He's taking an absolute beating here, surrounded by Marauders and Maulers and Renegade Gunners. It is a horrible lot in life in the Warhammer world here. It is a violent battlefield. Oh my god. Look at this chaos though. Oh my gosh, there is so many trying to push this one area. They are swarming up the hill here. The Imperials really need to make a desperate defense really quickly, get some more reinforcements into this area, because the Chaos now have completely outflanked the Imperial position. I've got to say it. Look at that. They are just swarming in here. Meanwhile, in the ravines, oh, I did say they would be filling up with bodies. Chaos now has made a bridge out of corpses and somewhat of dam as well. Look at this. It's holding all the blood in here. And as it slowly trickles down the battlefield. But the Chaos are doing this. Look at this. The full-on assault here with demons and marauders is having an effect. It is slowly but surely grinding out these positions here. It's taking their time. How are we doing further up the field? Again, a couple of Terminators showing up on the front line, realizing that the defense was getting a little bit desperate here. The Kriegsmen have done a fantastic job, though, of holding back so many demons. Oh, God, look at that. Look at that battlefield, man. That's insane, but we need to go back over to this flank here. Again, look at this. Magnificent. Terminators have come to the rescue here. The corpses of the Chaos are starting to pile up around them as they just take on quite a few of them. But we are losing Terminators. It is a desperate defense here. And look at this. When they start getting surrounded, man, there's not much you can do about that. It's not cinematic. Not like in the movies. Now, when a Terminator gets surrounded, he can't defend his back from a big giant axe being flung into it. It's just the way it is. Oh my god, look at that assault! Bullets ripping through the air here as the Chaos continue on with this absolute insanity here, creating these bridges with which to get across their own blood of their dead comrades. It's absolutely mental when you think about it. The Chaos here have filled up this river. They emptied it out by destroying the dam, then they filled it up with blood, and now they're damming up the blood with their own bodies. It's remarkable tactics here from the Chaos. I mean, I say tactics in inverted commas. It's just an absolute maddened frenzy now. I'm amazed they're not ripping each other apart in the bloodlust, but I guess at least they've got an enemy that they can see. Maybe that's why they're holding off. Again, these Terminators slowly but surely making their way to that front line. They're not going to let it falter anytime soon. I'm really concerned about that flank, though it does look like we've got a lot more Terminators now coming in. Yeah, the cries on the battlefield have been heard, and the Imperial fists here are coming out and are beginning fisting the Chaos. I mean, quite literally, they've got power claws on. They're the Imperial fist. There's no other way to describe it. They are fisting Chaos. I mean, Chaos has really taken a hold of this portion of the battlefield now, though. Absolutely flooding reinforcements in. But again, they have got the ire here of the Imperial fists looking down upon them now. This flank needs to hold. The Terminators realize this and have sprung into action here, completely halting the Marauder advance, despite the fact that there's even demons on the front line here. The Bloodletters and Winged Furies adding to the carnage. But yeah, look at that. It's a magnificent yellow line here, just creating a big wall of red. Meanwhile, the covering fire for the rest of the Space Marines is having a lovely effect here on our Chaos Brethren. They're finding out really the worst way possible that a bolt around to the face is probably not something that you want to experience. Mind you, I wouldn't really want to be hit by a lightning claw either. That doesn't seem like a good way to go. Or quite frankly, just being bashed by a Terminator shield. That seems like another painful way to go. That seems like a worse way to go, actually, because that just seems like it's going to break a load of your bones and you're not actually going to perish. Look at this insane assault here. The chaos, despite the insane losses. I mean, look at this ravine. Like I said, there's not a single inch of it now that is any more a ravine. It is a chaos pit of death. That is all it is. But we've got to give it to the chaos. They are taking out some of the Terminators here. Sheer weight of numbers is having an effect. And again, there's a lot of demons for the chaos team. The Imperial Guard laying down that covering fire desperately here. The Kriegers, man, they're living up to their reputation here. Look at them with the shovels on the front line and standing side by side with a Terminator, taking them all on. And they're not faltering, they're holding that line. They've seen a Terminator die and they're still holding that line. I mean, I'd be quaking in my little space boots at that point. I mean, that is absolutely terrifying. Imagine you, a Kriegsman with your shovel, and you've just seen a Terminator die to these incredible hordes of chaos here. Would you really want to go charging headlong into that chaos army? I mean, you'd be thinking twice about it. Oh my god, look at this. We've lost a lot of Terminators on this side now. The chaos here are really pushing hard. We've got a couple of the soul drinkers here coming up to provide backup covering fire, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The chaos are absolutely swarming it, but the Imperial Guard here have got over 500,000 kills now. But the chaos, 46,000 in the bag with 33,000 defenders remaining. It is getting down to the wire, this one. It's going to be brutal. But the chaos, you've got to hand it to them, man. They've managed to push right across this ravine. And look at that. They've created so many bridges now. And a lovely new river, it must be said. I mean, look at this thing. It's gushing it down here. The water drained out a long time ago. And this thing is just still gushing it down into the center down there towards the pyramids. Absolute insanity, man. But it's got to be said, the Terminators on this side have helped out invaluable here, laying down their lives to hold that flank. And the Kriegers have been trying to provide them with as much support as possible. A couple more Terminators making their way to the flank. We're desperately going to need it over here. The Chaos are pushing extremely hard on this side. Let's go back up this side. Have we... oh, look at this. We're actually starting to run out of reinforcements here. The Chaos now committing a lot of units to the fight. And we're actually starting to thin out the horde on this. Oh, look at that body pile. That is absolutely ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. And it's largely down to Kriegers as well, I've got to say. There was a couple of Terminators on the line here, but the Kriegers have been holding this area magnificently. They've piled up the Chaos so high in this area. It's fantastic. Yet again, though, Chaos undeterred by the stupendous losses that they've taken here. Not even bothered about the fact that they're standing on the skulls of their own comrades. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of skulls to be collected after this battle, so if the Chaos win here, they're going to be jubilant in their victory. Because quite literally, I mean, they're literally already piled up for them. It can't be any easier. This flanking maneuver, though, has been really deadly. And like I said, the fact that so many Terminators have had to come down to this side to try and hold it back. I mean, just look at this. The Kriegers have been wiped out, man. Absolutely wiped out. Again, more Terminators coming to this flank. It's what we need. We've still got quite a few in reserve, and I think a few more are making their way over here. So hopefully this flank will hold, at least for a little bit. But I'm actually kind of interested in this side over here. Look at that. We really are clearing out the Chaos completely on this side. Hardly any reinforcements coming in. They've all been absolutely decimated. The good old Kriegers on this side have been having a right old field day, to be fair. You see, there's no like actual path to get up to them, so the Chaos are sort of just walking down the ravine to get over to this body pile over here to get in. And yeah, the Kriegers have just been railing on them for that entire time. But the lines are holding for now. Somehow, the front line over here is still holding. I don't know how they're doing it. It's been under a barrage of demons now for, what, 15 minutes? That's absolutely insane. The Kriegers here really showing the absolute mental. And that's not to take away anything from the Space Marines that have been helping them out. But come on. The Kriegers, man. Absolute beasts of war here. But this flank is slowly but surely grinding through the defense. It's, I don't know, I really can't call this, because like I said, the front line's holding magnificently, but it's getting chewed away from the side. And this is absolutely vital here, because we're about to get to a large chunk of the Terminators here. So I'm wondering if they will actually manage to hold this. If they can hold this line here in place for quite a while. Oh my god. Yeah, but yeah, if they can actually hold this line in place for quite a while, that'll be really good. It's much needed at this moment. But I was giving, oh my god, at this. Look at the blood. So this is where the river was. And we've now built up a bunch of chaos bodies here in sort of like a dam thing. So it's having to divert it over here. That's kind of insane. The front line, though, is so brutal. The Terminators are doing an excellent job, as you'd expect. But even against these overwhelming numbers, man, it's got to be difficult. Like I always see it in like the cinematics and stuff like that. Terminators getting attacked and enemies come at them like one at a time. But what happens when a Terminator is quite literally swarmed by a million things all at once? I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter how strong he is, he's going down pretty quickly. It's just absolute insanity when you think about it. But yeah, it's unfortunate, like, you never see Space Marines in, like, the thick of an insane battle. Yeah, this is where they should be. This is what they are born to do. But they're doing an excellent job at it, but they're taking heavy losses. That's the thing, there's a lot of gene seed that's going to need to be recovered after this fight, I'll tell you that. Especially as it's Terminator. But I'm actually amazed the Imperial Guard have cleaned out the entire flank of the Chaos here. This is getting really interesting now, because what's essentially happened is that the Chaos now control the lower end of the battlefield, yet the Imperial Guard still hold the high ground up here, and a lot of all these melee forces now are going to start diverting back down to this end of the battlefield. That is going to be really, really good for the Imperials, though my worry is that they're not going to have the same level of fire support as they would further up. Yet again, we have got the Space Marines here who are laying down that bolt of fire and absolutely annihilating the Marauders, who are now still pushing into this flank. They've done such a good job, but look at the floor behind them. It is a complete paste of corpses here. And yet again, look at the ravine, man. Where has the river gone? It's just turned into this quagmire of death. But the Space Marine assault force here is really under heavy assault now. In fact, it might be at risk of getting surrounded here. We've only got 80,000 attacking Chaos forces remaining. It's quite a large chunk of forces. And we've only got 17,000 defenders. Again, Terminators holding that line magnificently on this flank here, actually pushing forward somewhat. Maybe if we can break this flank over here for the Imperial Guard, we'll actually have a decent chance. Because I'm really worried that the forces of Chaos over this side are going to start encircling the Space Marine defense. And that could be real deadly, man. A lot of firepower then starts getting diverted. It's not concentrated into one place, which is what you really need against gigantic hordes like this. But them Terminators, look at that. They're determined not to let their fellow Space Marines here come under assault from any of these chaps. Oh, but the Chaos, they don't care. They don't care, it's Terminators. They're going to fling their lock bodies at it. Look at all that firepower coming in. Oh, that's magnificent. Good old counter-charge coming in slowly but surely here from the Kriege as they meander their way from the top there where they were defending before. A new combat line is slowly being formed. Can we hold the Chaos in place here? It's going to be vital that we keep as many of these gunners alive as possible for the Imperial Guard, especially if we want to hold out. There's only 62,000 Chaos remaining. It is getting really difficult here. Well, I do think with all these Terminators on the front line, it's looking good at the moment. It just depends what happens over this side. Like I said, if the Chaos manage to win out one of these flanks here, it's going to be deadly. It kind of looks like they control the center at the moment. They could have pushed right into a Krieg line here with the Halbor rifles. See, we've got two types of Krieg. We've got the ones with the Halbor rifles and we've got ones with shovels. But yeah, the ones with the Halbor rifles providing a lot of covering fire. And yeah, it kind of looks a little bit open. We've got a couple of Terminators that have just joined the fight there. That might be enough to keep him in place. But the Chaos now, 48,000 remaining. They have just almost, yeah, look at that, they've broken through the Terminator line. The question is now, are they going to have enough forces? We've got another couple of Terminators coming up here. They're going to have another struggle. If these Terminators go down, that is going to be absolutely deadly. That'll open this flank again. Chaos is seemingly trying to push loads of reinforcements back into this area. realizing that it had lost its pressure. But this front line is holding, actually. Look at that. Lots of lovely Terminators now. Up against the Marauders as more and more forces come in for the Chaos, trying to reinforce them. That bolt of fire leveling out the front line. I can't imagine how many exploded entrails there would actually be over this battlefield. Like, can you imagine if this game had, like, gore physics, like proper gore? That'd be absolutely insane, man. Oh, the poor old Chaos here. The Marauders are forcing their way in. But it's not happening for them. They're trampling over the corpses of their own and the Terminators as well now. We have lost a lot of Terminators, though, it must be said. I've got to give the Chaos that. They've killed, what, a good 100, 200, maybe even 300 Terminators here. It's a hell of a lot. There's probably more than we can actually replace at this point. Oh, absolutely love this. But look at that. The last tier of the Chaos forces now. We've got 18,000 against 11,000. So what we're quickly going to do is we're just going to hit a little bit of a time-lapse camera here and see if the final remaining Chaos forces can capitulate the Imperial Guard defense. We'll be back in a second. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's official at this point. The Chaos Army has been broken. They almost did it without any tactics, with just insane bloodlust in their hearts. They almost broke the Imperial defense here. I mean, just look at this ravine. It's absolutely caked in the enemies. And we've made this lovely little pool here as well. But I do think with 77 Chaos remaining, we can end this one here today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, of course, we've got to recover all this gene seed that we've spilt all over the place. And we've got to ensure that there's no Chaos corruption. With that being said, as always, I do hope you had a blast. I know I did. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And a massive shout out to all you channel members who help to keep this channel going. And if you're not a channel member, why the heck not? Click the join button down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out the amazing ChaoticPinky store. We've got some really cool merch over there. With all that being said, as always, until next time, peace.